Number 20. Nabatean. The Nabatean culture was a massive mix of Akkadians, Arabs, and Hebrews, a nomadic people spread over Palestine and Syria during ancient times. They were an advanced people who developed sophisticated systems of commerce and trade. The Nabatean developed intricate methods of dispersing water, keeping them hydrated and healthy, even in the heart of the desert. What could have taken down these thriving ramblers? Nobody really knows. The Nabatean people fell off the map and into the mysteries of history around 106. Number 19. Çatalhöyük. The Vanishing Act pulled by the Çatalhöyük people still puzzles historians to this day, as these ancient artists roamed all over what we know as Turkey today and disappeared without a trace. The Çatalhöyük Empire had impressive longevity, stretching from 7500 BCE to 5700 BCE, and its people were creative artisans who crafted impressive shrines and murals. Did a sinister fate befall the Çatalhöyük, or were they simply lost to time? Number 18. Minoan. The Bronze Age had plenty of its fair share of epic civilizations, and the Minoans are just one example of that. They lived on Crete between 3000 BCE and 1000 BCE, and were a fiercely pagan race who practiced human and animal sacrifices. The mighty Minoans met their match when a volcano erupted in the neighboring Santorini Islands, decimating Crete and burying the thriving Minoan civilization in fiery lava and clouds of ash. Number 17. Indus Valley Civilization. Also known as the Harappan civilization, this empire thrived in what we know today as Pakistan. 4,500 years ago, the Indus Valley civilization was a veritable powerhouse, until it curiously disappeared and was lost to our collective memory until the 1920s. When relics of the great civilization were discovered. The Indus Valley civilization was light years beyond its time, with advanced sanitation systems and sophisticated dentistry and medical care, which is why it's so puzzling that they abandoned their community without a trace. Number 16. Mycenaean. The Mycenaean people were ruthless conquerors, sweeping across modern-day Europe with precision and purpose. For 5 long centuries, the Mycenaean people ruled the ancient world. So, what brought down this once formidable empire? Some people speculate that it might have been a natural disaster. Still, realistically, the Mycenaean might have just gotten too big for their britches, exploding into internal conflict somewhere around 1100 BCE. It's a sad end to the Mycenaean story, but infighting could have spelled doom for the mighty Mycenaean. Number 15. Olmec. From 12,000 to 400 BCE, the Olmec civilization ruled over modern-day Mexico, and you can still find traces of their empire in parts of the country today. The Olmec people loved to build immense structures, and many of their temples resemble pyramids from the other side of the world. They also constructed enormous heads, much like the ones found on Easter Island. It's anyone's guess what the pyramids or heads were used for, but it was likely some kind of religious purpose. The confounding thing about the disappearance of the Olmec people is that their bones seem to have evaporated into thin air. Some have suggested that the arid environment that they called home destroyed any traces of their bones. But who knows if something more sinister was afoot. Number 14. Nabta Playa. These nomadic people wandered modern Egypt roughly 11,000 years ago, and were at the mercy of an unpredictable climate and the cruel ancient world. The dry season was disastrous for the Nabta Playa, and many inhabitants died of thirst. Still, the Nabta Playa called this inhospitable corner of the world their home for hundreds of years, until climate change killed the rainy season and eventually the Nabta Playa. Number 13. Clovis people. The Clovis people roamed through New Mexico's driest deserts and were one of the very first civilizations to call that part of the world home. The Clovis civilization thrived between 9050 and 8800 BCE and left behind some fairly advanced tools. What might have killed the Clovis Empire is the same fate that befell the Mycenaean people. They simply got too big. We speculate that the Clovis people split up into different tribes and became the ancestors of early Native Americans. Another more sinister theory is that a comet wiped out the Clovis people entirely. We suppose that we will never know. Number 12. Anasazi. Another North American mystery, the Anasazi people vanished off the face of the planet, leaving behind plenty of artifacts and even more questions about what happened to them. These creative builders built right into the cliffs of the American Southwest and used these structures to have a tactical advantage over their rivals. Amazingly, the mighty Anasazi disappeared, leaving behind their unique structures and a million questions about what happened to them. Number 11. Rapa Nui. Anyone who has ever seen the famous, puzzling statues of Easter Island has seen a glimpse of what the Rapa Nui left behind. These gargantuan heads are the most famous relic from the Rapa Nui, but they are just the tip of the mystery. Easter Island is located over 2,000 miles from the coast of Chile, making it one of the most remote places on the planet. Where could the Rapa Nui have gone? Number 10. Kukatan Tropilian. These mountain dwellers were spread over Romania, Moldova, and Ukraine between 5400 and 2700 BCE, moving around the Carpathian Mountains with skill and size. The Kukatan Tropilian civilization was gigantic, covering over 350,000 square kilometers at their peak. These agricultural nomads were also creative, leaving behind pottery and other relics. Remarkably, an empire this size and advanced totally evaporated off the face of the planet, begging the question of how and why the Kukatan Tropilian vanished. Number 9. Aksumite Empire. This magnificent civilization went by a number of different names, including the Kingdom of Axum or Aksum, and was a proud powerhouse of the ancient world. It stretched over the northern part of Africa in 400 BCE and lasted 200 years. The famous Queen of Sheba is speculated to have reigned over the Aksumite Empire, and it was intensely powerful in the Old World. The empire was also extremely advanced, having developed its own alphabet and leaving behind plenty of sophisticated artifacts, such as the obelisk of Axum. The Aksumite Empire was an early victim of climate change, with the shifting weather patterns making a lot of their home inhospitable. Number 8. Cahokia. The Cahokia people inhabited a certain part of Illinois back in the day, leaving behind mysterious mounds that have puzzled archaeologists ever since they were initially unearthed. The Cahokia people also scattered pottery all over the state, and we are only just now scratching the surface of what was once a glorious civilization. Back in 600, the Cahokia stretched across the state, numbering over 40,000 people. What actually happened to the mighty tribe? Climate change, territory disputes, or larger, more powerful civilizations might have caused them to flee their land or wiped them out altogether. Number 7. Khmer Empire. Cambodia's recent tragic past is well known. Still, before the ravages of Pol Pot, there was a mighty empire that spread across the region, spilling into neighboring Vietnam and parts of Thailand. Between 802 and 1431, the Khmer Empire was the #1 game in town, spreading religion and culture throughout the region. During different times during the Khmer Empire, they were Hindus or Buddhists, and the relics that they left behind reflect this reality, the most famous being Angkor Wat. Nobody knows exactly what brought the mighty civilization to its knees. Number 6. Arab Empire. Back at the beginning of this era, Prophet Muhammad constructed his Arab Empire or Caliphate, which spread across much of the Arabic world. Although Islam was practiced in the empire, it wasn't necessarily a theocracy. Instead, the Arab Empire was a collection of smaller cities and lesser empires that were unified under one mandate from Prophet Muhammad. In 900, the Arab Empire splintered off into different facets, leading to the rise of the Ottoman and Persian empires, as well as smaller groups in what we know now as Iraq, Egypt, and Spain. Number 5. Mayan Empire. The Mayan Empire has a special place in our collective imagination, as they left us plenty of clues and relics to go on as a window into what made their civilization tick. Spread across much of Mexico and Central America, the Mayan Empire was strongest between 250 and 900, when it crumbled without any notice and vanished without a trace. The Mayan collapse is one of history's greatest mysteries. Number 4. Vikings. The Vikings were once the scourge of the seas, conquering land with abandon. When ancient people saw their signature ships coming across the water, they trembled in terror. Famous brutes like Eric the Red overtook entire continents, planting their flags in places like Greenland, which makes what happened next so shocking. The Vikings faded into the pages of history somewhere around 1400, leaving little or no clues to what was their ultimate death blow. Greenland is a famously inhospitable place, so the Vikings could have fallen victim to weather changes or a miniature ice age. They also might have simply found the continent too harsh for them and fled to other parts of Europe. Number 3. Mongol Empire. Genghis Khan ruled the Mongol Empire with an iron fist, conquering, pilfering, and reproducing with zest. 1 in 200 people today are distantly related to the Mongol ruler, which gives you an idea of how prolific his intimate life was. The Mongol Empire swept across continents, taking huge swaths of the ancient world in its wake. The Chinese eventually overtook the Mongol Empire, and once their strongholds began to crumble, the entire civilization fell down like a deck of cards. Number 2. Achaemenid Persian Empire. In 500, Cyrus the Great amassed a considerable empire, earning him the title King of Kings, and ruling over a massive portion of the ancient world. Cyrus the Great prided himself in conducting foreign relations and governing over multiple groups of people. The Achaemenid Persian Empire actually became a blueprint for others that followed it, including the Greeks. All good things must come to an end, and the Achaemenid Persian Empire fell at the hands of Alexander the Great. Number 1. Roman Empire. The most famous empire in the world conquered and ruled vast territories, giving us culture, art, and history in the process. It lasted for thousands of years, withstanding threats from Hannibal during the Punic Wars and minor uprisings from its conquered territories. What brought down the mightiest of mighty civilizations? The danger didn't come from outside, but from inside the empire itself. After 2 millennia of dominance, Rome collapsed under the weight of itself due to political infighting in 1453. Which of these civilizations would you like to learn more about? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to What Lurks Below.